Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Keegan. This video is going to round out my series talking about all the rods that I have had experience with and have in my possession and have fished. This is by no means an extensive, comprehensive review of all the rods in the world. This is just my opinion and what I like, so keep that in mind. Solicit other opinions, read other reviews, but I find these videos very helpful in helping me make a decision about gear and just feeding my obsessive interest about the sport. So hopefully it helps you do that as well. So today we're talking about short Tenkara rods. My other videos, the lines are kind of arbitrary, but this video is about 300 and under centimeters. And I had another video that was about 310 to 330, and then a normal rod size of about 330 to 360, and then a longer rod size of like 400 and up. So go see my other videos for those. But today we're talking about short Tenkara rods. So short Tenkara rods are great for tiny overgrown creeks. And usually those creeks have smaller fish, but sometimes they don't. But a short rod allows you to cast when there's twigs and branches hanging over your head, or maybe there's canyon walls on either side and you're on one side and you have to cast sidearm under some trees. So they're a little bit more maneuverable for really small creeks. And they can be super, super fun. And the right short rod can make very small fish and small creeks just a total blast. So let's dive right into the small rods that I have in my possession, and then we'll also talk about some that I used to have and I have fished as well. I'm gonna start by talking about two rods that I think are especially great for children. I taught my son to fish on this first rod, and I think this really short size is great for small people because it's just easier to learn to cast if you're a very short little person, a child or a hobbit or something, to learn to cast with a smaller rod rather than a huge long stick. So this first rod is called the Shimotsuke Gen, and this is the 2.4 or 240. I bought this rod for $60, so this is a very cheap rod, but it is a Japanese rod. I think I bought it on eBay. They also make it in a 270 and a 300. I've fished this rod on tiny creeks, and I actually like it too, so it's not just a cheap sort of piece of junk rod. It's actually quite a nice little rod. It's got a full cork grip. It's a pretty fast action, but it's a fantastic rod, and my son really likes this. This was his rod. It's a fantastic, cheap little rod. If the kid breaks it, you're not gonna be worried about it. Or if you just have a really, really tight creek and smaller fish, this would be a great rod. It's tons of fun, very cheap. The second rod I'll talk about I think is also fantastic for kids, and my son actually likes this one even better. It is also a 240 centimeter rod, and it's the Dragontail Tiny Talon. It's actually 245, but that's this much. And what he loves about it is he can put it in his pocket. So this is a pocket rod, and it's just long enough here to be able to put two line winders on. You can see it's already still wound with the line that he was using last time we went out. So there's a fly on it. It's just a little pocketable package, and he loves it because he can put it in his pocket when we're hiking or backpacking or just fishing for the day, and he can scramble around with it in his pocket. He can take it out. He can do it all himself. So it's a fantastic little rod. And the Dragontail, they make two pocket rods. One is the Talon Mini, which is a 310 centimeter rod, and this is the 245. And actually, having fished them both, I like the 245 better. I ended up selling the Talon Mini. I didn't love it, but the action on this one is great. I think there's a little more fiberglass in it or something, but the casting is really nice. You can see my other videos for me fishing this rod for some golden trout here in California. But it's a fantastic little rod, and it's just perfect for kids. It's like, they love the size. It's the perfect length for a child. It's a great little rod. Okay, so up next, sticking with Dragontail, is the Kaida. So the Kaida is the rod I recommend to anyone who is starting in Tenkara. Dragontail makes, they're a US-based company. They make affordable rods, but they're pretty high quality. The casting is good. The parts and the customer service, like if you break the rod, it's totally easy to get a new part, and the customer service is great. And so I really recommend Dragontail, especially for beginners. And this Kaida is fantastic. It's not a full-size rod, so you can see it's not as pocketable as a true pocket rod, but that also means it has a bigger grip. So if you're an adult, I prefer fishing this rod over that one. But it's not a super long size. You can see it's a little bit shorter than the usual Tenkara size. But it's long enough that you can put a line winder right on it, so you can have your whole kit right there in one, and it's a fantastic rod. It's a 320, so it really, I talked about it in my 320 video, but it's also a 285, so it belongs here on that shorter length. And I really like the versatility of this rod because you can fish it in a really short, tight stream, but then if it opens up, you can zoom it out to 320 and fish it there too. Fantastic rod, really nice casting, affordable, excellent company. Highly recommended, Dragontail Kaida. So the next rod I'll talk about, I put in this order because I think of it as the Japanese version of the Dragontail Kaida. And it's the Nissin ProSpec 2-way 320 in the 7.3 flex. So if you don't know, flexes are basically how much of the rod flexes. So a 7.3, you're like thinking about the top 30% of the rod that's doing most of the flexing. A 6.4 is the 40% of the rod that's doing most of the flexing. A 5.5 is half the rod. So a 5.5 is generally, you can consider it a softer rod, and a 7.3 is a stiffer rod and more tip flex rods. So I prefer tip flex rods, especially on these small creek rods, because usually if you're fishing a small creek, you're overgrown and it's easier to maintain or to control the fish immediately, for me, with a 7.3 tip flex rod that has a lot of backbone rather than a really soft rod. If it's a really soft rod, I hook into a fish and then suddenly the fish is shooting for cover, which is a foot away, and the rod is so soft that I can't steer the fish as effectively. I also like the casting on a 7.3. It's very zippy, and it's a smaller motion with your hand than a big soft rod is going to be a bigger motion. So in my overgrown creeks, I prefer a little bit of zippier casting and a 7.3 flex. So this is the ProSpec 2-way, and it fishes at about the same lengths as the Kaida, so 270 and 320. So I also included those two rods in the other video, 320 rods, and they belong here too because you can fish them and they fish really well at the shorter setting, but then you have the versatility of the zoom to go out to a longer setting. So if you want a Japanese rod, this one is a great bet, and it's pretty cheap. I got this for right around 100 bucks, I think, on Amazon. So the next couple rods I want to talk about are Oni rods. Now, Tenkara no Oni is the nickname of a Japanese angler who is a master caster and fisherman, but also designs rods. And so his rods are some of the best casting rods on the planet, just without question. The first one I'll talk about is largely considered the greatest small stream rod ever produced, and that's the Oni Coco 290. Now, he named this rod after his wife, Coco, and on his website he describes it as targeted for beginners and children, but as soon as advanced anglers got it in their hands, they realized this was just a powerhouse of a small stream rod. You can catch fish up to 14, 16 inches. The casting is incredible. It is unmatched in casting, in my opinion. The accuracy is amazing, especially with a light level line and a light fly. You could even do small bead heads, but it's not really made for big bead heads. The hook sets are decisive. You can control the fish easily. It's just a total joy. It comes in two colors, and maybe this reflects the fact that it's, you know, they targeted it at beginners or children: blue and pink. Very bright colors, very fun. And this is actually a grip that I put on. This is a cork grip that I hollowed out and put on because I have big hands, and the original grip on this is pretty thin. It looks a lot like this grip. This is the Kurenai. I'll talk about this in a sec. But for my big hands, I find that the no grip works okay on these rods in the short segment, but some rods like this Kurenai also comes in much longer lengths, like 400 centimeters, and I find that's just not enough for my big hands to grip. But the small rod, they're so lightweight. These are about an ounce each, that if you can you sort of hold it more with your fingertips, you're almost like conducting a band. It's a baton, but it's very, very lightweight, and so the very thin grip actually works okay for these size rods. But I experimented, put this grip on. I really, really like it. It's just a stock cork grip that I had to hollow out and sort of guess and check 100 times to get it to fit. So that's the Oni Coco 290. I think it's the best small stream rod I have ever fished. Especially love it with this little bit of cork on it. I think that's great. But even without it, it's fantastic. It weighs 0.9 ounces. It casts like a dream. It's just an incredible rod. You cannot go wrong with it. It hovers right about 200 bucks from Japan, and you can only get Oni rods through his website, with the exception of the next rod I'll talk about. Oni partnered up with Nissin, who you've heard me mention before. I love Nissin rods, they're a Japanese company. And he partnered up with Nissin to make this line of rods, this is the Zerosum 7.3 Oni 295. This also comes in a 345, which I also have. See my other videos for that. And there's two sort of sister rods to this, 395 and 450, which is the Honryu, which means sort of main stem, larger river, versions of this same rod. They all look the same. All four of those rods look the same. But this is the 295. And you can see it's a little bit different than the Coco. What I prefer about the Nissin Oni is the full cork handle. You can see, again, I added that cork, so this is a full cork handle, standard. I love the Nissin rounded end caps. It's really comfortable if you're holding the rod at the base. You can also choke all the way up. I like that, especially for small streams. There's many times where you want the reach. It's almost like having a zoom rod, right? If this is 295, then this is like 275. and you can choke up and down. You can do the same thing on the Coco, but it's just you end up on the blank and it's not quite as comfortable. The Zerosum 7.3 series of the Oni rods were targeted, they're a little bit less tip flex and they're targeted at a little bit larger fish. And so I fished both of these side by side. The casting is not as magical as with the Coco. The Coco's casting is, it's just magical. There's no other way to describe it. It's the same thing as the Oni Itoshiro 340. It's the same thing as the Oni Type 1 400. There's just, if you like a light level line and an unweighted fly, there are not rods that cast better than those three rods. And so if you want the absolute pinnacle of casting experience, the Coco is amazing. That said, this Nissin Oni 295 casts really well. And if you are bead heads, if you like bead heads, you like to fish a little bit of weight on your fly, this is gonna be a better bet. It throws them better than the Coco does. Also, you could wrangle a little bit larger fish. So if you have small streams, bigger fish, this is a great option. Moving on. The next rod I'll talk about is the Kurenai. This is the Suntech Kurenai HM30R. Now they don't make this one anymore, but they do make the AR30. And the only difference is the tip section is a little bit less flexible. This is an insanely soft, insanely fun with tiny fish rod. I don't know if you can see the tip section, but it's thinner than a toothpick. It's the thinnest tip section on any rod that I own. And so with really small fish, this Kurenai is so much fun. Get you a little bit of the tip wiggle. The Kurenai is so much fun with small fish. If you have a brookie stream with 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch fish, these Kurenai rods are a laugh riot. They are so, so great. I actually just got the Kurenai 33, the AR33, and I took it to New Hampshire and fished for brook trout with it, and it's perfect. It's so great with small fish. And this Kurenai weighs less than an ounce, and what's interesting, having fished it next to the Coco, they have the same magic, but the Coco is a little bit zippier on the cast, which is like zip zip, and the Kurenai is a little bit more smooth. It's like a marshmallow cloud. It's very relaxed. But I think the Coco could handle slightly larger fish, but the Kurenai is just a joy. So this is the Kurenai, the one that you can get now is the AR30, and it just is a fantastic rod, and you can get it pretty cheap. You can get it for a little bit over $100 if you find it from Japan. If you get it imported, it might be a little bit more, but totally affordable, and just a total blast for small fish on small creeks. So related to the Kurenai is a rod that is no longer produced, but it's very similar form factor, and it's the Air Stage Hakubai 240. So funny thing about this rod, this is a used rod. A great place to pick up rods is Tenkara Marketplace on Facebook, and I picked this up there, and I actually picked up this one there. But I took it out to a small stream with small fish, and I was fishing for 6- and 8-inch fish, and then I started to get in these little pools, there'd be one larger brown trout, like 9, 10 inches. And as soon as I saw those larger brown trout, I should have put this rod away, because the Air Stage Hakubai 240 is a micro fishing rod. It is a small fish rod. You should not be fishing this rod when there's 10-inch brown trout. But I was, and this specific brown trout I cast, and I hooked into him, and I was like, okay, this is gonna test this rod. And the brown trout shot for cover, and instead of just letting him go for cover or straightening out the rod, so if it was gonna break me off, he would break me off, I bent the rod and sure enough, snapped it. Yep, there we go, there we go. Another big brown. Okay, Hakubai, don't fail me now. Come here, bud. Wow, oh, it broke! No, no, no. Oh, I still got the fish, but it broke. Oh, it's too much for it. I was right, it's a micro fishing rod only. Oh, bummer. And they don't make this rod anymore. So I was very disappointed because it's an insanely fun rod with small fish. It's just like a smaller version of the Kurenai. And it, again, weighs nothing, weighs less than an ounce. But I posted about this somewhere online, and someone came to my rescue. I love this community. It's full of generous, caring people, and a man named James said, I've got an Air Stage Hakubai 240, and I would love to send it to you. Thank you for making videos, and go fish it. So he sent me this one. Thank you, James. I totally appreciate your generosity, and I'm very excited to fish this again, and I promise I won't break it. But the Air Stage Hakubai is really cool. Sometimes it'll pop up used, and it's a 240 rod, very short, very lightweight, micro fishing rod, but it's a total blast. So if you happen to see one, pick it up, check it out. Okay, so the next rod up is the Darth Quattro from Wasatch Tenkara. And this is an American company. This is one of the only quadruple zoom rods that I've ever heard of. It is a very short rod. It is the shortest rod that I own. I think the shortest length, 5'6", is 165 centimeters. It's a really fun little rod. The first time I took it out, I actually broke it because I sat on it, so I had to get a new part and wait to really do a review of it, but that is in the bag and editing now. It's a fun little rod. It's not quite a pocket rod because of all those zooms. It kind of sticks out, but it's a little rod. It's packable. It's a zippy action. And on that day when I broke the Air Stage Hakubai, this is the other rod I was fishing, and this rod had no problem with those 10-inch brown trouts. So it's a great little rod. Check it out, Wasatch Tenkara. I think it comes in right around 170 or so. The next rod is a rod that I just got again on the Tenkara Marketplace on Facebook. And a couple things make this interesting. One, it's also no longer made. It is a 280 centimeter rod, so it's in this short category. It is the Riverworks ZX Micro, and it has a carbon fiber grip. There's a closed cell, like really firm foam, and then there's a carbon fiber covering over it. I have not fished this rod yet. I just got it, but it was a collaboration. I think Luong at Tenkara Tanuki sourced the blanks, and then it was put together by Riverworks. Riverworks is no longer around, so it's kind of a cool little rod. I don't know anything about it. It seems like it's got a pretty zippy casting motion, but it should be good for small creeks. I'm excited to fish it. Tune in for videos of me fishing this rod. Next up are a couple rods from Tenkara Tanuki. This is the Tanuki 275, and this is a fantastic little rod. It's a pretty mid-flex, so 6'4", but it has enough backbone to steer little fish. 275 is quite a short length, so it's great for little streams. It's a really fun rod. I like the way it looks. Nothing bad to say about it. You can check out my other videos. Catching rainbow trout with this, total blast. Tanuki 275. I don't think he makes this anymore, or he might be doing more runs, but Tanuki does sort of small batches, so you gotta catch them while you can, but again, these could come up used. It's a great little rod. Another thing to say about this rod is he does different sizes, and people really love the 325 length in this rod, and some people also really like the 375 length, so check out Tenkara Tanuki. And then another rod by Tenkara Tanuki, first of all, cool little case. It's called the Pocket Ninja, and he's got a couple different lengths of these rods. This is the Pocket Ninja 9'6", which is 290, so streamborn 290. And what's cool about these rods is they're kind of art pieces. He sources very cool graphics, puts them on them. It might not be your bag, that's fine. Maybe you prefer a cork grip, but if you have a big collection, it's cool to have one or two pieces that are kind of different, and these are really cool. These are fast action rods. This is the 290 setting. They also make a 240 and a 320. Luong says the 320 is actually the most popular, but I really like this 290. I fished this a bunch. You can see my other videos. It's just a great 290, 300 size. It's just a great length for small creeks. And so I love this. And at some point I'll probably try a 320 in this as well. Luong's rods are known for excellent casting, and you really can't go wrong. The other one I should show, so I'd coveted this piece of art on the Tanuki Pocket Ninja for a while. This is the purple dragon and carp, and it's this insane painting. I mean, it's a piece of art. It's beautiful. And I'm actually gonna be probably selling the brown trout version because this is the one I wanted, and I finally have it. So they don't have any cork or foam on the handle, and so it's actually very sensitive. It's pretty good for nymphing with bead heads. It's very sensitive. You can feel strikes. It's a really zippy casting motion. Because it's pretty fast action, you can control fish really easily. The casting is very accurate. Lovely, lovely, wonderful little rods. And just kind of cool. I mean, there's something for everyone, right? Like if you want a plain cork handle, if you want no handle, it's just fantastic. And like, I really, really think the artwork, it makes it different. It makes it fun. It makes it interesting. They are a little bit pricier. Maybe that's because of the paint job, not sure. But there you go. Tanuki Pocket Ninja. That's the last rod I've got to talk about. And then finally, I just want to mention a couple rods that I no longer have, but I have fished. One is the Tenkara Talon Mini. That's the 310, which I mentioned at the top of this video. And I do prefer the Talon, the tiny Talon 245. I just like the way it casts a little bit better. Second rod that I used to own that I no longer own is the Dragontail Foxfire. And that's a fiberglass rod, and it is super soft. and it is super fun catching fish. There's an interesting thing some people talk about, like with rods, you can separate the joy of casting the rod and the joy once you've hooked a fish. And some rods will be really joyful in casting, but when you hook the fish, they're not as nice. And some rods, it'll be harder to get the cast to go where you want, but once you hook a fish, it's like a joy to steer the fish. That's what I think about the Foxfire. It's very, very fun with small fish once you get a fish on. You can't control them as well because it's such a soft rod, but it's so much fun. But the casting is a little bit loosey-goosey, and I had a hard time getting the cast to go exactly where I wanted it. So I didn't keep that rod. But if you like soft rods, the Foxfire is one you should check out from Dragontail. And then lastly, the TenkaraBum 27 is a 270 centimeter rod, and it has a couple unique things about it. The TenkaraBum, it's the Traveler 27. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to get it. Suntech just did a run with Chris Stewart, whose nickname is TenkaraBum, and he designed the rod. I'm not sure if they're going to continue doing runs of those or not, but it's quite a short packed size. It doesn't have a grip, so it looks a lot like this. And it's a fast action 270 centimeter rod. And the only reason I didn't keep it is the difference between 300 and 270 is this. And I already have two 300 rods that I really liked. And so I just didn't find that there would be a time when I would want to fish the Traveler 27 over the Oni Coco 290 or the Kurenai. And if I need a 270, I just do that, and then I can cast with a 270. So I didn't keep that rod, but it's a great rod. I have friends that have it and absolutely love it. The nice things are it's packable, and it's really lightweight. The casting's great. It's easy to control fish. Highly recommended. So that's it. Those are the short rods that I have fished that I like. These are only my opinions, solicit others, but I hope that this helps you make a decision about maybe your next rod. If you like this content, subscribe, tell your friends, like, comment. Tell me if you want to see other videos about other stuff. I've got other videos coming up. I just shot a video about how to choose a Tenkara rod. I'm going to do a video, Tenkara for beginners, Tenkara for backpackers. So let me know if there's content that you want to see, and I'll try to bring it to you. I just want to help with the Tenkara knowledge so that people looking to get into the sport and to make gear choices have more information at their fingertips. That's all for now. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.